Hello everyone. أهلا بيكم في تعلم الإنجليزية. Learn English. النهارده التوبيك بتاعنا هيكون توبيك مرتبط بينا كلنا. توبيك جديد وهنتكلم على our families. So to start with خلينا نبص بالتفصيل هنتعلم إيه. So the first thing that we're going to look at vocabulary. And for today's vocabulary, we're going to look at family members vocab. So we're going to speak about every member in the family and family relations. And we're also going to look at grammar. And when we speak about family, there is a very important grammar point, which is possessive. So we're going to look at possessive adjectives, and we're going to look at readings as well. So today, let's start our episode with idioms of the day. للي مش فاكرين idioms هي expressions بنستخدمها بشكل يومي في حياتنا اليومية، ما بيبقاش معناهم مرتبط بشكل أساسي بالمعنى الحرفي للكلمات، بيبقى معناهم أو الكلمات مش بتدي المعنى الحرفي ليها، فهي بيبقى لها معنى مختلف عن معنى الكلمات بتاعتها. الإيديومز دي بتساعدني إن أنا sound more like native، بتساعدني إن أنا sound more like people who speak in the street, people who speak English naturally. So to start with, we have 3 different idioms that are connected to family. Let's look at the first idiom that we have for today. So the first idiom that we have for today is, it runs in the family. It runs in the family. Okay, what do we mean by this idiom? What do we mean by it runs in the family? So when we have a group of people or a family that they are all similar to each other, we say it runs in the family. لما بيبقوا كلهم متشابهين في حاجة. So for example, if we have a father who is a doctor and his son is a doctor, we say, it runs in the family, which means they are all doctors. So it runs in the family means all the family are very similar. Or when I am very good with football, for example, and my father is very good with football, and my brother is very good with football. So we say, it runs in the family, which means everyone in the family is the same. So the first idiom again is, it runs in the family. اللي هو إحنا شبه بعض جدا. So this is the first idiom that we have about families. It runs in the family. Let's look at the second idiom. The second idiom that we have is the black sheep of the family. The black sheep of the family. So when we say the black sheep of the family is when we have somebody who's not the favorite of the family. Like, my mother and father don't like me much. I am the black sheep of the family. The black sheep of the family إن أنا مش بتحبوني زي الباقيين. Or when you say, so my brother gets a present, my sister gets a present, and I am the black sheep of the family, which means I am not loved the same level as they are loved. So I am the black sheep, أنا مضطهد شوية أو أنا مختلف أو بعامل معاملة مختلفة. So the idiom is, I am the black sheep of the family. So we can use it also sometimes at work, or we can use it in school if I am not dealt with in the same way. لو الناس مش بتتعامل معايا بنفس الطريقة اللي بيتعاملوا بيها مع بقية الناس, I can say, so I am the black sheep of the family, which means you're dealing with me in a different way. So this is the second idiom that we have, which is, I am the black sheep of the family, which I am not the same like the others. You deal with me in a different way, or you're not fair to me. ثالث idiom معانا is blue-blooded. Blue-blooded. So blue-blooded, when we speak about people who are from a very high class or from the royal family, so we can say, I have a friend in school, she's very rich. So she's blue-blooded, which means she's from a very classy family. Or you can say, I am from the royal family, I am blue-blooded. So blue-blooded means من عائلة ملكية or from a very rich family. And we use it also when we deal with somebody in a very nice way that he's different from the others. So we can say, she always gets a high mark and I don't. Is she blue-blooded? Like, is she royal? So we use blue-blooded like you're not equal with both of us because somebody might be bitter. So we use blue-blooded. So by this, we have talked about three different idioms that are connected to families. The first one is, yes, exactly, it runs in the family, which means the whole family has the same thing, or the whole family are similar in this. And the second one is, I am the black sheep of the family, which means the whole family deal with me in a different way, or in a less quality, or in a way that I don't feel very happy about. And the third one is blue-blooded. Blue-blooded, which means somebody who's coming from a high-class family or from a royal family. بكده نكون اتكلمنا عن الإيديومز بتاعتنا للنهارده، وتعالوا نبدأ أول بارت عندنا اللي هو البارت بتاع الفوكابيلاري. وزي ما قلنا الفوكابيلاري بارت عندنا هو هيكون عن الفاميلي والفاميلي ريليشنز. عشان نبدأ بالفاميلي والفاميلي ريليشنز، أول حاجة هتساعدنا هي حاجة اسمها family tree. So what do you mean by family tree? Let's look together. Okay, so here what we have in front of us is a family tree. The family tree اللي هي شجرة العيلة, which puts everyone in the family together and it shows the connections between people. So we have this family. Let's read the names of the people. So we have Mary, and we have Ted, we have Grace, Tom, Susan, Ron. We also have Batty, Maggie, Jimmy, Ben, and Danny. So this is a family tree for a very big family. We're not talking about a small family here. We're talking about lots of members. Okay, عشان نبدأ في الأول خالص إحنا عندنا two concepts when it comes to family. The first concept is the concept of something called nuclear family. Nuclear family is my very small family. So any small family, like for example, when I speak about my father, my mother, and my brothers and sisters, these are the very close people to me. We call it nuclear family. And we have the other family, which is the big family. We call it extended family. Extended family. So we have two different concepts محتاجين نحطهم في دماغنا لما نيجي نتكلم عن الفاميلي. The small family, nuclear. The big family, extended. طيب أول سؤال بالنسبة لي. The family in front of us, this family that we have here, is it nuclear or is it extended? So do we have father, mother, and brothers only, or is it a big family that includes everyone? Here we have everyone, so this is a very big family. So now we're looking at the extended family. So when we speak about family and family members, we're going to look at all the members of the family, small and big. Okay? Let's start. So we're going to start this family from top. So we have Mary and we have Ted. أول حاجة محتاجين نفكر فيها, what is the relation between Mary and Ted? How are they related? So when we have this line here, this line means that they are both married. So Mary is married to Ted. I have the same line here. This means Susan is married to Ron. Do we have the same line? Yes, we have the same line in the middle. This means that, exactly, Grace is married to Tom. So in this big family, we have three smaller ones. We have the family for Susan and Ron. We have the family for Grace and Tom, and we have the family for Mary and Ted. And the relation between each two is married. Mary, Ted are married. Susan, Ron are married. Grace, Tom are married. يبقى دي أول relation we're going to look at, the relationship of marriage. Okay, so when we say two people are married, we have two relations between them. If we're talking about Mary, Mary in this relation is called wife, wife, wife. So Mary is a wife. Okay, and we have Ted. Ted is a husband. 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 So Mary and Ted are married. Mary is a wife. Ted is a husband. And the letter S that we have here is pronounced as Z. Husband. Husband. Okay, so we have Mary wife, Ted husband. With the same idea, if we have Susan and Ron who are married, Susan is wife, Ron husband, Grace wife, Tom husband. Very nice. So here we have 3 wives and we have 3 husbands in the 3 different families. Okay, so this is the first relation that we looked at, the relation of marriage. In this relation, we have a husband and we have a wife. Okay, let's look at the next relation. The next relation now, we're looking at this line. Do you see this line here that comes down? So this lines, we're talking about children. Children, we're talking about الأبناء. So if we're talking about Susan or Tom, they are children. So they are children for who? Children for Mary and Ted. So if we're talking about Tom, Tom is a child for Mary. So Susan is a child for Mary, and it's the same for Ted. He's his child, she is his child. Okay, type. If we have Tom and Susan as children, we have the same line here and we have the same line here, which means we have other children in this family tree. So let's look and let's find the other children that we have in this family tree. Okay, so other children, here we have Ben and Danny. They are also children. For who? For Susan and Ron. And we have Patty, Maggie, Jimmy. Patty, Maggie, and Jimmy are also children. For whom? For Grace and Tom. So here we have children, here we have children, and here we have children. So we talked about 2 different relations now. The first one is the relation of marriage, and the second one is the relation of kids. I get married, I have kids, we call them children. Okay? In this relation of having kids, we have different names. So if we're talking about here, Ben and Danny are children. طيب, Susan بالنسبة لهم تبقى إيه? So what is the relation between them and Susan? Susan here is their mother. يبقى أنا عندي Susan هنا عندها 2 different relations. A relation with Ron and a relation with Danny and Ben. الريليشن الأولانية مع Ron, she's a wife. And the other relation for Ben and Danny, she is a mother. So she is a wife to Ron. And she is a mother to Ben and Danny. Okay? And here we have Ron. Ron is a father. Father اللي هي أب. So Ron is the father to Ben and Danny. And he has another relation in the same family, which is a husband. To Ben and Danny? No. He's not a husband to Ben and Danny. He is a husband to Susan. يبقى أنا عندي in the same family, he has 2 different titles or 2 different names. He has the title of husband to Susan. And he has the title of father to Ben and Danny. Okay? So in a family, I can have more than 1 title or more than 1 name. I can be a father, I can be, yes, a child for my parents. I can be a lot of other things. So let's look at other relations. So let's look here. Here we have Jimmy, Maggie, and Patty. So Jimmy, Maggie, and Patty. لو هتكلم على relation بتاعتهم بالنسبة لبعض. So what's the connection between Jimmy, Maggie, and Patty? Here the connection between them, or the relation between them, is called siblings. Siblings. Siblings means brothers and sisters. So we can say a brother if it's a boy, and we can say a sister if it's a girl. So if I have a mix, I have boys and I have girls. So I have three what? Three brothers? I can't say that because I have a girl in them. So I have three sisters, still they are mixed. They are boys and girls, so I have three siblings. Siblings. So siblings are the same like brother or sister, and it's in general. It can work for a boy or a girl. So here we have the connection between Patty, Maggie, and Jimmy is siblings. Siblings. Okay, do we have other siblings in this family tree? Yes, we do have other siblings. Let's look here. We have Ben and Danny. They are siblings. We can say Ben and Danny, they are brothers, okay, because we have two boys. Or we can say they are siblings, no problem. So we can say brothers, we can say siblings, it's the same. And we have other family relations, we have other siblings in the same family tree. We have Tom and Susan. Tom and Susan are siblings as well. So we have Patty, Maggie, Jimmy, siblings. Tom, Susan, siblings. Ben, Danny, siblings. Okay, so now we have the relationship of marriage, we have the relationship of father and mother, we have the relationship of siblings, which is brothers and sisters. Okay, so if we're going to look at the idea of sibling in detail, Jimmy, if I am speaking about Jimmy, who is a boy, the boy, we call him a brother. And we have Maggie, who is a girl, the girl is called a sister. So Jimmy is a brother to Maggie and Patty. Maggie is a sister to Patty and Jimmy. Okay, so we have brother and we have sister. If we're talking about Tom and Susan, so Tom is a brother to Susan. Susan is a sister to Tom. So Tom, brother, because he's a man. Susan, sister, because she's a woman. So here we have Danny and Ben, as we said, two boys, two brothers. So Danny is a brother and Ben is a brother as well. Well, general relation, if I'm not talking about boy or girl in general, we're talking about siblings again. Okay, here let's look at more relations in the family. So Tom احنا قلنا عليه مرة father to who? Patty, Maggie, and Jimmy. وقلنا عليه مرة husband to who? To Grace. So if I am talking about the relation between Mary and Tom, what is the relation between Mary and Tom? Okay, Mary is a mother to Tom. What about Tom? Tom is a son. Son. احنا قلنا the general idea is children. The general idea, children. If we're talking about man and woman specifically, so the man would be a son. So Tom is a son to Mary. Tom is a son to Ted. Okay, let's look at Susan. Susan is called a daughter. A daughter. And the GH here are silent. We don't say them. So Susan is a daughter to Ted. And Susan is a daughter to Mary. So in the same family, we have now a lot of names or a lot of words for Susan herself. Susan is now a daughter to Mary and Ted. And Susan is also a mother to Ben and Danny. Susan is a wife as well to Ron. So more than one title for the same person. And Susan is also a sister to Tom. So lots of relations that we can talk about, and one person can have more than one relation in the same family. Okay, so now we need to look at the connection between Mary and Ted and Patty, Maggie, Jemmy, Ben and Danny, all 5 of them. So what's the connection between the 5 very young children and the old people here that we have who are Mary and Ted? Okay, so the first thing that we're talking about here is Ted. For them, if we're talking about Ted, Ted is a grandfather to them. So Ted, grandfather. To who? To Danny. So Ted, grandfather to Danny. Ted, grandfather to Ben. Ted, grandfather to Jemmy. Ted, grandfather to Maggie and Patty. Okay, so if we're talking about the man here, we're saying grandfather. What about Mary? Mary is not a grandfather. Mary is grandmother. Grandmother. Okay, so Mary is a grandmother to Patty, Maggie, Jemmy, Ben, and Danny. So Mary, grandmother, and Ted, grandfather. If we're talking about Danny, to them, so Ted is the grandfather. So Danny is not a grandfather. Danny is grandson. Grandson. So we have the relation of grand is the father of the father or the son of the son. This is grand. So the father of my father, grandfather. The son of my son, grandson. So the idea of the father of or the son of grand. So grandson, son of my son. Grandmother, mother of my father or mother of my mother. Granddaughter, the daughter of my son or the daughter of my daughter. So here Danny, he is a boy, so we called him grandson. Maggie, who is a girl, we call her granddaughter. So we have grandson, granddaughter. So Patty is a boy or girl? He is a boy, so he is a grandson. To who? Again, to Mary and Ted. So Jimmy, boy or girl? Boy, so he is another grandson. And Ben, another grandson. So if we're talking about the general idea, grandsons and daughter mix, we call them grandchildren. And if we're talking about grandfather and grandmother together, we call them grandparents. So we have grandparents and grandchildren if we're talking in general, not talking about specifics. Okay, so now we have talked in the same family, the same person can be more than one thing. يعني Mary and Ted now have lots and lots of relation. If we're looking at Mary alone, she's a mother to Tom and Susan. She's a wife to Ted. And she's a grandmother to all the children that we have here. So I can be a mother, a wife, and a grandmother. Okay, so let's look at another relation. Now we need to look at the relation between Ted and Ron. What is the relation between Ted and Ron? Okay, Ted and Ron are not really connected. So the connection comes because Susan is his daughter, and then Ron came and he married his daughter. So if we're talking about Ted, here the relation is حماه. So بابا مراته. In this case, what do we call this relation? So the father of my wife or my husband, the father of my husband or the father of my wife is called my in-law. In-law. So we can say father-in-law, which means the father of my husband or the father of my wife. So this is father by marriage because I married his daughter, but he's not really my father. So I am part of this family and he is like my father now because of marriage. So he's father-in-law. Father-in-law. Okay, so here, if we're talking about Mary, Mary is mother-in-law. To who? To Ron, who married her daughter. So Ted, father-in-law to Ron, and Mary, mother-in-law to Ron. Like, do we have other people who married from the same family? Oh, Grace. Grace is not from the family. She just married Tom. So we have the same relation between Grace and Mary and Ted. Here we have Ron and Grace for Mary and Ted. So we agreed, Mary and Ted, father-in-law, mother-in-law. Okay, so Ron himself, Ron is not a father-in-law, and Grace is not a mother-in-law. Okay, so what about Ron and Grace? Ron and Grace, now I want to speak about Ron. Ron is what to Ted? Ron is son-in-law, son-in-law. Grace is daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law. So we have son-in-law اللي هو جوز بنتي and daughter-in-law مرات ابني. So if we're talking about the wife of my son or the husband of my daughter, they are my son and daughter-in-law. Okay, what about the relation between Susan and Grace? Again, they are like sisters, but not real sister. They are like sister because of the marriage relation in the family. So this is again the in-law relation. So they are like sister because of marriage. So Grace and Susan are sisters-in-law. So Susan is sister-in-law to Grace, and Grace is sister-in-law to Susan. Okay, Tom, if we're talking about Tom and Ron, Tom is brother-in-law to Ron, and Ron, brother-in-law to Tom. So brother-in-law or sister-in-law, this is, yes, exactly. So this is the wife of my brother or the husband of my sister. The connection between me and them are brother and sister because of marriage. So brother and sister-in-law. Okay, بكده نبقى اتكلمنا على أهم الفاميلي ريليشنز الموجودة عندنا. تعالوا نعمل عليهم براكتس ونشوف هنقدر نفتكر ايه من الفوكاب بتاعنا. اوكي، تعالوا نبص على الفاميلي ريليشنز كلها اللي موجودة عندي هنا عشان نعمل عليهم براكتس سريع. So, here we have aunt, mother, husband, mother-in-law, niece, father, daughter-in-law, couple, grandfather, parents, nephew, grandparents, uncle, children, brother, in-laws, son-in-law, sibling, father-in-law, son, cousin, wife, grandmother, granddaughter, and a sister. دي كل الريليشنز اللي ممكن تكون موجودة in an extended family. So these are the most important relations that we are going to face. اتكلمنا عن أهمهم، في كام relation تانية هنبص عليهم واحنا بنتكلم دلوقتي. So let's look at the first one, which is aunt. خلينا نفكر بقى في كل relation من دول على أساس أنا بستخدم الكلمة دي for males or females. Do I use it for men or women, or I can use it for both? Okay, the first word that we have is aunt, اللي هي العمة or الخالة. So if we're talking about aunt, this word, we use it for women only. So it's a female word. Mother, female. Husband, man only, so it's for males. Mother-in-law, if it's a mother, female. Niece, niece دي اللي هي بنت أخويا أو بنت أختي. So the son of my father or the daughter of, okay, so the son or the daughter of my brother or sister. So the daughter is called niece. The son is called nephew. So the girl, niece. The boy, nephew. Niece, nephew. يبقى ابن الأخت أو الأخ nephew. بنت الأخت أو الأخ niece. So niece is for girls only. And nephew for boys only. What about father? Yes, father for men. Daughter-in-law, daughter, women. Couple. So we have two people who are married. They are a couple. Couple for man and woman. Grandfather for man only. Parents, mother or father are called parents. So parents are general again. So it works for men and women. Nephew, as we said, boy. Grandfather or grandparents here for both, same like parents. Uncle, اللي هو العم أو الخال, man. Children, all. So boys and girls, no problem. Brother, boys only. In-laws, the general word. So my father-in-law, my daughter-in-law, my sister-in-law, all of them are called the in-laws. So this is a very general word. Son-in-law, yes, man only. Sibling, as we agreed, in general. A brother or a sister, sibling. So it works for men and women. Father-in-law, men only. Son, men only. Cousin, ابن أو بنت عمي أو خالي. So it works for all. Men okay and women okay. Wife for woman only. Yes. Grandmother, again, mother. It has mother in it, so grandmother, woman only. Daughter for woman only, and sister for woman only. So, as you see here, males, husband, father, grandfather, son, father-in-law. Females, wife, mother, grandmother, daughter, mother-in-law. For both, we have couple, we have parents, we have grandparents, we have children, we have in-laws, and we also have siblings and cousins. Here we have niece and we have nephew for males and females. Okay, بكده نكون اتكلمنا على أهم الفاميلي ريليشنز وعملنا براكتس قسمناهم ما بينهم ميلز ولا فيميلز وبصينا على ايه الكلمات اللي تنفع استخدمها مع الاثنين. تعالوا مع بعض نبص على الجرامر بوينت بتاعتنا اللي احنا قلنا انها هي هتساعدني اكتر اتكلم على الفاميلي بتاعتي. تعالوا نبص ازاي نستخدم البوزيسيفز. اوكي، قلنا هنتكلم على حاجه في الجرامر بوينت بتاعتنا اللي هي هتساعدني اكتر ان انا اتكلم على الفاميلي ريليشنز. طيب لو انا هتكلم على الفاميلي ريليشنز انا عندي حاجه مهمه جدا هتساعدني ان انا اوضح او اقدر اتكلم عن عيلتي which is something that we call possessives. طيب يعني ايه possessive؟ possessive دي هي اداه ملكيه. طيب احنا البوزيسيفز عندنا اللي احنا هنتكلم عنها النهارده هي basically two main possessives. We're going to speak about the apostrophe s and we're going to speak about the adjectives. طيب يعني ايه apostrophe s ويعني ايه adjectives؟ Okay, so in the family relation that we had somebody called Tom and we had Susan. So Tom and Susan were connected together. How? Tom was brother and Susan was a sister. يبقى أنا عندي كده relation ما بين Tom and Susan. So this relationship between Tom and Susan, if Tom would like to speak, so Tom personally is speaking. Tom عايز يعرف Susan. عايز يقول لهم إن دي أختي. So the idea of possessive هي الملكية. So if I'm talking about my sister, so if I'm talking about sister, to make it possessed by me, we call it my. My دي, So the word my is one of the possessive adjectives. So we have my. يبقى أنا ال possessive adjectives بتاعتي زي كلمة my. I can say my sister. طيب الجروب بتاع ال adjectives ده اللي هو إيه؟ We have my اللي هو ملكي أنا and we have his for males. So Tom is not my brother. So Tom is his brother. His brother أخوه. So we're talking about a male. So لو الأونر بتاع الحاجة مالك الحاجة male بقول his. So am I a man? لا. So if somebody is talking about me he will say her. يبقى لو الأونر بتاع أي حاجة هو female we say her. يبقى أنا مش بتكلم على الحاجة اللي بمتلكها، أنا ماليش دعوة الحاجة اللي بمتلكها دي ميل ولا فيميل ولا whatever. يعني سوزن مش في القصة بتاعتي خالص. If I am talking about Tom, so if the speaking is about Tom, she is his sister. So we're talking about the owner. إحنا بنتكلم عن الأونر مش بنتكلم عن الحاجة اللي بيمتلكها. So these are showing the relation to the owner. So my, it's for me. His, the owner is a man. Her, the owner of the thing is a woman. Okay, and we have their. Their, if we're talking about a group. So if we're talking about father and mother and their children, we're talking about plural possessive. So we're talking about plural owners. لو أنا عندي أكتر من حد بيمتلكوا أو الحاجة بتنتمي إليه. So we have their and we have our. Our دي لو أنا حد من الجروب يعني our is for a group of possessive. So we're talking about a group of people and I am one of them. يعني my حاجة أنا بمتلكها لوحدي. our حاجة بمتلكها أنا مع جروب من ناس تانيين. Okay, and we have the face-to-face which is your. So my, his, her, their, our, and your. So if we're talking about Tom and Susan, Tom, for Susan, Tom is brother. Tom brother for who? For Susan. يبقى احنا عندنا الأونر بتاع الحاجة مين؟ Susan. So if we're talking about Susan, we can say Tom is her brother. Okay, so Tom is her brother. Her دي بتكلم عن مين؟ Susan. I am talking about Susan. So this is referring to Susan. يبقى الأونر هنا man or woman? Woman. So if the owner is a woman, I say her. ماليش دعوة Tom man or woman. So Tom is her brother. Talking about Susan. أخوها. Okay, so if I am talking about Susan, let's call her Sue. So Sue is sister. To who? To Tom. يبقى دلوقتي الأونر man or woman. The owner is now a man, so we can say Sue is, the owner is a man, so Sue is his sister. Okay, so his, her. So his that we have in this sentence here. We are talking about, yes, we are talking about Tom. It's referring to Tom. طيب في الجملتين دول هل أنا قلت اسم الأونر؟ لا، أنا بريفير لي أخوها، أخته. So I am talking without saying the name of the person, saying the name of the owner. طب أنا عايزة أوضح، عايزة أدي تفاصيل زيادة. So if I would like to give extra details, I would like to give the name of the owner. Once هقول النيم أنا محتاج إن أنا أستخدم the apostrophe S. So this is what we call a possessive case. يبقى أنا دلوقتي نفس السنتنس دي عندي لو أنا هشيل منها his أو her وهحط اسم الأونر فالسنتنس عندي هتختلف. فأنا هيبقى عندي هنا توم هو أخو مين؟ Susan. So Tom is مفيش بقى his or her خالص. كلمة her دي مفيش موجودة خالص. مكانها هقول اسم الشخص Susan. وهزود apostrophe s مكان الpossessive. So Tom is Susan's brother. So يبقى أنا عندي two options. Option number one, I can use his or her and I don't say the name of the person. Option number two, I say the name of the person or the name of the group and after the name we put possessive s. So this is replacing that. So let's practice for this one. So Sue is his sister. If we're going to make it like this, Sue is exactly Tom, and we're going to add possessive s. And Sue is a brother or a sister. Sue is sister, yes. Okay. بكده يبقى أنا عندي البوزيسيف هم حاجتين أو فكرتين رئيسيتين. الأولانية the possessive adjective. الادجكتيف ده بستخدمه قبل النون بتاعي. I don't mention the name of the owner. So his, her, my, their. I don't mention who exactly لأن أنا بريفير ليهم وغالبا ببقى بشاور على حد إحنا already اتكلمنا عنه قبل كده. And the other case, if I would like to highlight the name of the owner of the thing, if I would like to highlight it, in this case, I say the name and we put possessive s after the name. بكده نبقى اتكلمنا على الجرامر بوينت بتاعتنا اللي هي البوزيسيفز اللي هتساعدني اكتر ان انا اوضح الفاميلي ريليشنز واتكلم اكتر عن عيلتي. تعالوا نعمل براكتس على الفاميلي ريليشنز وعلى البوزيسيف اس اللي احنا لسه واخدينها. اتكلمنا على البوزيسيفز. We talked about the possessive s. We talked about the possessive adjectives that will help me more speak about my family and family relations. Okay, so let's now have some practice related to this. We have a very, very famous family called the Simpsons. So you can look at this family tree and tell me, is it a small family or a big family? So this family is a big family tree. So here we can have lots of relations and different relations. تعالوا بسرعة نبص على أساميهم. We have Abraham, we have Mona, Clancy, Jackie, Herb, Homer, Marge, Patty, Selma, Bart, Lisa, Maggie, and Ling. Let's look at some relations between them and let's see how we're going to use the possessive s with that. Okay, so here we have Patty and Selma are Marge's. Okay, we need to locate that. So Patty and Selma for Marge. So they are her what? They are her sister. Very nice. Okay, but here we use the possessive s because we said Marge's, so they are Marge's sister. So we can cancel Marge and we can put her. Both are fine. So we can say Marge's sister or her sister لو اتكلمنا عن الموضوع قبل كده. Okay, let's look at another relation. Here we have Homer and Marge are Bart's. Okay, this is Bart, and this is Homer, and this is Marge. So they are his, yes, very nice, parents. وهنا الowner بتاعي we're talking about Bart, so I can cancel Bart and I can say his because Bart we're talking about a boy. So for a boy we can cancel it and say his. So they are his parents or Bart's parents, both are okay. Let's try this one. Here we're talking about Jackie is Lisa and Maggie's. So here we have the possessive is Lisa and Maggie. So in this case بحط الpossessive s مع second name مش مع both names. So Lisa and Maggie's. So let's locate Jackie first. So this is Jackie. And we have Lisa and we have Maggie. This is Lisa and this is Maggie. So Jackie is Lisa and Maggie's. We're talking about Jackie. Jackie is a, yes, grandmother. Grandmother. Okay, so if I will cancel Lisa and Maggie, I will say, so the possessive is plural, Lisa and Maggie too. In this case, we say their grandmother or Lisa and Maggie's grandmother. Okay, here we have Ling is Bart's. So this is Bart and this is Ling. So Ling is Bart's, yes, Ling is Bart's cousin. ولو هكنسل Bart's because he's a boy, we're going to say his. So Ling is his cousin or Ling is Bart's cousin. All right. One more time, let's look at this. Marge, Patty, and Selma are Clancy's. Okay, let's look at them. So we have Marge, Patty, and Selma. What are they for Clancy? So they are their, yes, daughters. We have 3 daughters for Clancy. Okay. And here we have Bart and Lisa are Mona and Abraham's. Bart and Lisa. So these are Bart and Lisa. Are Mona and Abraham's. Yeah. So Bart and Lisa here are grandchildren. Grandchildren. And here we use grandchildren because we're talking about a boy and a girl together. We're not talking about boys only, so we say grandsons. We're not talking about girls only, we say granddaughters. And here we can cancel Mona and Abraham and say their. Okay, last one. All right, we have Lisa is Ling's. So this is Ling here, and this is Lisa here. So the connection between them again, Lisa is Ling's cousin. And as we agreed, cousin can work for a boy and a girl. And we can cancel the word Ling and we can put it as, yeah, we can put it as her. Because Ling here is a girl, I guess. Okay, so by this, خلينا نشوف احنا النهارده اتكلمنا عن ايه. We have talked about all types of families, extended families and nuclear families, small and big. And we have talked about family relations and how to speak about family relations using possessive adjectives and possessive S. We also have taken some idioms related to families and related to speaking about families. بكده نكون وصلنا لنهاية حلقتنا النهارده. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye!